put some pressure on you to reevaluate where you're at. I mean, we were just talking about how many agents drop out after their first year. That was already crossing my mind.
Really? At that 8-month mark?
Yeah, I mean, it's
understandable, though. If you're not making any money in those first 8 months, it's hard.
Welcome, everybody.
Welcome to Real Estate AF.
I'm Aaron.
And I'm Francesca. Together, we're AF.
Real Estate AF. So we are realtors in the Chicago suburbs, and we're coming at you today to start a series about some of our experiences in the workforce.
Yep.
Explain how easy or not easy real estate can be for people. We're going to bring in business partners to talk about different aspects of the different processes, kind of get to know us.
Yeah, within the transaction, we're going to bring in, like he said, lenders, attorneys, inspectors, all of the above. So you can see all different perspectives coming from realtors ourselves, and then also like buyers and sellers, and give you a little more insight on real estate in general.
Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of diving deep into, how everything could be different. Give you guys a personal, like, firsthand look at buying or selling, investing. Just because it's hard to start somewhere. It's hard to trust what you read online. So we're just trying to come at you guys very genuine, very personal. So that you guys can be fans of us, we can be fans of you guys, and hopefully get to work with each other one day.
Yep. So this first episode, we kind of just want to give you some information about ourselves so you feel like you actually know us. So give you some info on who we are, why we started real estate, why we love it, why we don't like it some days.
Some days, not all days.
That's all jobs. You're always going to love and hate what you do. So yeah, we'll get into it and tell you some fun stories, and that'll be the first episode, honestly.
Perfect.
So Aaron, how old are you?
I'm 23, almost 24.
Okay. When did you get into real estate?
Going into my fourth year now. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So time's already flown by, and I've already had the pleasure of seeing quite a bit of how many things can be different in the business for everybody. Everybody's story is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
And especially even with realtors, people always have a bad rep with their experience of their last realtor. So we kind of want to dive into that, show you guys why working with us, you're going to get that all-around experience before and after the transaction. But about me, I've had my ups and downs in the industry so far. So I'm super confident in what I know now. Just trying to get my name out there. It's about building a business right now. So that's the one thing I think people might not understand about realtors is that we're building our own small business, and building a business isn't easy. So it's not all rainbows and butterflies day in, day out showing $1 million houses. It's not like that. There's a lot of the hours put in where you don't see any pay back. So you have to be okay with that. But I was in a position, luckily, to have that opportunity to come into this business and, take my time settling down into a new business. But I love where I'm at right now, and just hopefully can get better as time goes on.
Yep.
So about you've had an awesome experience so far.
Thank you.
I'm excited to see what's in store for you moving forward.
I appreciate it.
Tell me a little bit more about you, what you like, what you don't like, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So I have I've been in the business for about a year now, and I started when I was 22 or 21. I'm sorry. Everyone does have different kickoff stories, if you will. Like, the success rate is not really high, especially that first couple, even 1 to 3 years.
Yeah.
I luckily have been able to put so much work into it where I have seen really good turnout within this first year. And even though it's not rainbows, butterflies, and you're showing $1 million homes every day, I think that's what keeps it fun and not boring. Because it's good to have, you know, all the fun days, but you need to have tricky scenarios with each transaction and people and your vendors that you're working with as well, just so you can always get better and learn for the next transaction too. So you always are learning. We're with John Green, and everyone's super helpful here. We talk to agents that have been here for about like 30 plus years, and even them, they'll be like, well, I'm in a new transaction and I've never seen this problem, but you're always learning something new.
It's cool to be a part of John Green Realtor because I think we have a completely different approach to this industry
100%.
as a brokerage, because brokerage isn't benefiting unless the agents are. So we have a huge team culture, an extensive training program so that they can build good agents.
Right.
And that's all you want to do. You want to be able to have a good business. You want to be able to, at the end of the day, provide for your family and make the money to support you and everybody else around you.
Right.
So I think that's one thing that we both got blessed with landing here. And I can say this right now, I couldn't imagine myself anywhere else.
Absolutely not. John Green Realtor. So we're a private brokerage here.
Yep.
We're in Chicago suburbs. Our main office is in Naperville. Obviously, we work all throughout Illinois. But being here, starting off your real estate career is the smartest thing you could do because of how their standards are so high. So they make sure to train you so you reach those standards as quick as possible.
Right.
And I think that's why it's the best place, honestly.
Yeah. So tell me, in your first year, what you may have expected versus what you experienced.
So I honestly did not expect to have as many people trust in me as they did right off the bat.
Yeah.
And that's just speaking blatantly because of my age. I am pretty young. We're both pretty young.
Yeah.
I personally have never bought in a home, but doesn't mean I couldn't learn everything about the buyer and seller process as investors too. But that was my biggest concern starting this industry.
You felt like imposter syndrome.
Yeah, I felt
there.
Imposter syndrome 100%. I still do day to day, but I definitely built that confidence up. So that's one thing I was like scared about, and I didn't expect to get as many people to trust me. Something that does happen all the time in this industry that I was expecting, but not to this extent, is how many highs and lows you feel throughout, not just weeks, just throughout the day.
Yep.
So that was interesting to kind of get used to. I'm still not used to it, but get in there.
It's wild because it's an emotional journey for your clients and for you.
Right.
Especially when you want the most for them. You want to be able to get them top dollar for their house, or you want to get your buyers into the house of their dreams
for as low as possible.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, we're in a market right now where that's tricky to do.
Right.
But, at the end of the day, that's still the goal for them.
Right.
So,
they put so much trust into you. You want to be able to always deliver that good news and always just guide them as good as possible.
Yeah. Even on the highs and lows part, last week I was down on myself, I'm like, it's tough to trust what you're doing every day when you don't see it pay off all the time. So, just a little like piece of advice: just keep pushing, and don't let worries take over what could happen.
Yes.
You could always be right at the edge of success, and you never know when it's going to hit.
Right. So you can't give up.
Right.
That's a really big common reason a lot of people quit so quickly within real estate specifically, all small businesses, but real estate specific, because everything you're working on in this moment, you're not going to see any sort of payoff up until at least that 3-month mark. So everything we're doing now, we're not going to see until unfold until March, April, May, June,
I mean, I don't quite know what the statistic is, but it's over half of all agents drop out within their first 3 years.
I believe that 100%. We just had how many people or realtors drop out of Illinois? Like 40,000, right?
I think in 2023, 40% of all of the realtors have dropped out of the industry.
And that's a significant a significant amount of business handed over to us.
Right.
That's why we stick it out.
Right. But, it goes into, that the best of the best are still getting 80% of the business.
Right. Always.
And that's why people think it's tough to succeed. It's because people have already had these established businesses, but it's, who's to say you can't have one of those types of business models as well?
And when they retire, who's going to get that database?
Yeah. That's something to stay on top of.
Yeah. It's always, I think everybody could succeed. It's just you have to have a good mentality and a hard head.
Yeah.
I never asked you, what did you expect from the business that you aren't seeing or maybe are seeing a lot of?
Yeah, I think my expectations were a lot different from the things I experienced when I came into the industry.
Really?
I started at 21 just like yourself.
Yep.
And, I think I thought I could just do everything that everybody else was doing right away and not really have to learn anything about it, which is a pretty boneheaded thing to think. But, I was, I wasn't smart, let's say.
That's okay.
So I didn't do any transactions in my first 8 months in the business. And, that really, puts some pressure on you to reevaluate where you're at. I mean, we were just talking about how many agents drop out after their first year. That was already crossed my mind.
Really? At that 8 month mark?
Yeah. I mean, it's
understandable though. If you're not making any money in those first 8 months, it's hard.
Right. I mean, that's where we talked about, like, you have to be able to be okay not making money for a little bit until you can, get your feet up on the ground and, at least start walking. You don't have to start running yet. But, after that 8 month mark, I had my first transaction, and it was actually I was on the sell side.
Oh, okay.
So I used to work at a restaurant. My former boss was the seller or the owner of this property. It was just a rental property for him, so he wanted to get rid of it because he had a pretty crap tenant in there, 6 months behind on rent. Wanted to just dump it off and get the cash in hand for him. So that really got me going a little bit because it was someone that I already worked with. He knew me, I knew him, we trusted each other. And when you have that kind of relationship in a transaction, it makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
Makes you so much more comfortable and settled down. But not we're still at John Green where we have that backbone, that support from all the other agents, and they're not going to ask you for anything if they're helping you. That's a cool thing that we have here. So I just didn't expect how difficult it would be to bring in clients. I didn't buy into the training that we had initially until I started seeing any sort of success. I was like, all right, well, the training does work. I see everybody else doing pretty well. I want that for myself. So once I bought in, my expectations were now way lower, and my success was way higher.
Yeah,
it's so crazy how that works. I mean, if you want something, chances are the universe is gonna push it away from you, like whatever the saying is.
Yeah. But also, I mean, at John Green, it's written out for you what to do. It works. You just got to do it.
Yeah.
And some people aren't willing to do it. Maybe you thought you can go above and beyond and surpass what everyone else is doing, which you just had to learn for yourself. It does work, though.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I would be looking at those real estate selling shows, selling Sunset for one. But I was like, this is easy. It looks like they're just driving around. I don't know where they got their clients, but this all they have to do is walk them through, because chances are a house is going to sell itself. You just got to write the contract.
Right.
But you still have to do the work for them to get the information.
Yeah, selling sunsets. It's actually what got me into the industry, which oddly enough, but it's nothing like what they show.
No.
Whatsoever. There is a lot of work behind the scenes, and I think the biggest thing people do forget is you have to find those clients.
Yeah. You have to be able to step out of your comfort zone and talk to people you normally wouldn't talk to.
Yes.
just to expand your network. I mean, it's a people business. It's not a sales business by any means.
No. So you had your first transaction at 8 months. When did you start seeing I don't want to say consistent because nothing is consistent in this job, in the beginning especially, but when did you start seeing it pick up a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, even after that first 8 months, I was going into my first full calendar year in 2022. I did pretty good. I had about 10 transactions that year, but it didn't feel consistent always. I mean, it still doesn't even today, I would say, but I'm confident with what I'm doing now. I know that even if I don't see results right away, it's like you said earlier, the work that we do now doesn't come to fruition until 2, 3, 4 months down the line.
Right.
So I would say this past year in 23 was the first year that I felt very, very confident.
Good.
And consistent in my business.
And that was your first full third year, correct?
Yes.
Okay. That's crazy how everyone just has different stories.
I know. I mean, we have a coworker in our office who he did only rentals for his first 18 months.
Yeah, and there weren't many rentals.
And this
now?
is and the industry has changed where, you used to just need a leasing agent to do rentals, but the industry has shifted where now realtors and brokers are doing rentals. So 10 years ago, I think it was for him, his first 18 months, all rentals, and now he's, top 5 in our company doing $20 million a year.
Yeah. So you can really come a long way. Doesn't really matter how you start your career.
No, I think it's just it's how you continue to build your career and build your clientele,
right?
Your network, your business.
Agreed. Yeah. What I think is really weird about this business is how everybody just has different techniques and it works for everybody in different ways.
Yeah.
Everyone is successful in their own way.
Yeah. Because people talk to clients differently. There's no right or wrong way to do it, because it can work for someone. It won't work for another person.
Right.
I mean, even the way people write offers is different. The way they advise their clients on making offers, or how they present to sellers, what they might be able to get for their home. But some people just sell themselves. They don't really have to sell their real estate knowledge.
Yeah, they really don't. I think that comes with more experience on the back end, though.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those are referrals of your past clients that were friends or families, so that just comes with time. In the beginning of my career, I would go to a lot of open homes and just shadow people, different realtors that work here, just to see how they talk with anybody and everybody that walks through the door, because it just helped me figure out what I like, what I don't like, or how people host the open homes. And then just sitting in the office, hearing them on the phone with the lender, inspector, the list agent. And I feel like that's a really good way to kind of learn how to build your business. It's like building blocks. You put on what you want and then take off what you don't. And I think that's super cool, honestly, especially in this business.
Yeah. So during open homes,
I love hosting open homes.
That's all. I love that, because I've seen a lot of energy just right there. That's how you're able to connect with people. That's how you get that face-to-face time.
Yep.
Is that one of the bigger parts of your business right now?
So I wouldn't say, when you look at the numbers, no. So my highest price point I've sold, it was from a buyer that I got through an open home of a home that I was hosting for another list agent here.
Okay.
So I helped them buy a home, and then I also listed their current townhome for rent. Okay. So I had 2 transactions that way. Right now, actually, you and I are under contract for buyers that we met at an open home the other weekend.
Yep.
So that's super huge. And I did have one more that I listed their home, but just for some family reasons, we had to take it off the market. So I have consistent flow with buyers that do come into open homes.
Yeah.
I just think for me, it works so well. A lot of people don't like hosting open homes. And I think it's one, because they don't necessarily need to. They're not out there seeking for those buyers anymore.
Yeah.
I just love it because I'm able to get in front of person. I'm able to practice talking to these people.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, how do you build that trust in such a short amount of time? I mean, that's where you mentioned some people, it doesn't work for them at all.
Yeah.
I mean, because I don't know if they don't know how, or it's just not their thing. It's not their personality.
Yeah,
but
some people just don't like it. But also, you don't have to gain everybody's trust right away.
Yeah.
When you walk through the door, there's so many techniques that I've picked up throughout the past year of working here. It's just different wordage you can use every different time to pull out more info from each person that walks through the door, and without sounding salesy, because you are trying to sell the home as well.
Yeah, it's still that little like first pitch.
Exactly.
But
so you try to make it as personable and genuine as possible, and I think that's just like mastering just some key phrases. I think that's what's helped me, honestly.
Okay.
I can't even count how many open homes I've done. When I first started, I would do 2 to 4 every weekend. And that was, I finished training in April. So May all the way until September, I did 2 to 4 open homes every weekend.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the consistency that
right.
in your work that will pay off.
Exactly. And I think when people, again, going back to if you don't see that return right away, that's when they give up. And I didn't, because I knew it would work. I knew it was going to take time, though.
Yeah.
And it just works for me. So, yeah.
Cool. I mean, it's definitely working for you, because coming up this week, we've got a pretty cool office award ceremony. And the biggest announcement, at least on this podcast, Francesca is going to be the Rookie of the Year for our company.
Which is pretty cool.
So how are you feeling about that right now?
It's so I'm excited. I really hope I don't like say a speech. Do I have to say a speech or anything?
I don't think so.
I hope
I've
not.
never seen it.
I don't
in years past.
Okay,
but.
good. I hope not, because I will choke up. Anyways, I'm super excited, and I can't really I'm proud of myself, obviously, but also like it's weird to say that.
You still feel like there's more.
But the weird thing is, I didn't have an expectation. I did not think I was going to do as many transactions as I did the first year. But now looking back at it, I'm like, could have done more. So it's a weird back and forth.
I mean, that's just the drive that you have for your work.
That's true.
And that's how I feel always. I mean, I look back at last year; it was my best year by far. And doing the year-end review just recently, I'm going through all of these names. I'm like, wow, I left that person out, or this person didn't work out. And those are the things where you can't think about too much.
You can't really control it either. No. And I did that too. And we'll get into a little bit about just business planning. When at the end of the year, we usually in December, we review our past year and then prepare for the next year to come. So we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, so I'm excited, and hopefully, what if I'm not even Rookie of the Year? What if the numbers got?
Well, that's not going to happen.
No, I think it's really cool, especially since my first transaction started in May, so it hasn't even been a full year. So I'm very proud of myself, and I'm just going to keep going. Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much. So talking about business planning, do you want to explain a little bit to them what it looks like and what your review of 2023 looked like versus what you're planning for 2024?
Yeah. As you mentioned, so every year we're doing a year-end review of business planning, and then trying to take a look at what we did, change that around to give us a solid plan for that upcoming year.
Right.
So basically it's just looking at, who's your favorite clients, what type of transactions are they, buy, sell, rental, investors, and then how can we hone in on that more if it's a sweet spot of your business, I want to say. Right. What you're comfortable with, that's we call it our bread and butter. How can we just consistently gain business from that? So I think for me, open homes are pretty solid for me, but looking at the client appreciation events, is something at least, hasn't shown business yet, but something I want to do more of.
It'll eventually show business.
Right. It's because, it sits well with people that go through that experience, So one of our events that we did was trivia, and people are just having a good time, super loose. You sponsor the event, you talk to people, and for me, I can just talk to people and, shoot the shit with them. And that's how I connect with people. That's how I think I gain their trust. Because I don't want to be too salesy right away.
You are really good in front of a huge crowd.
Like, I can walk into any room, and for some reason, like, there's no pressure to talk to anybody. An older agent here, he always tells me, or at least tells some of the younger agents, everybody is walking with a $5,000 check on their forehead. So it's kind of like thinking of that, but you don't want that to be the first thing you're thinking of. Obviously, you want to build a cool connection, have rapport with people. So that it's about getting in front of face. I'm going to be doing a lot of more farming this year for my neighborhood, for my circle of people that I know and trust, and they know me, obviously. And just trying to stay on top of mind more is the hardest part, because sometimes when people start to get into thinking about buying or selling, they're going to go with the person who they've had the most recent interaction with.
Right.
And that's a tough thing to do. So those are some of the things I think I'm planning I know I'm planning to do this year. Just got to come to fruition with it.
Yeah.
And
and this was another thing we talked about, podcasts, and we're starting that too.
Yeah, well, of course. So brought to you by yours truly. Podcast was on our business planning together, but we still had our separate ones.
Yeah.
So I guess for you, what did you take away from last year? What are you planning to implement into your business this year?
Yeah, so it was my first time ever obviously sitting down and looking at the past year. So when I was looking at it, my biggest takeaways were how I could be saving money here and there when it comes to putting money into my business. Obviously, everybody that owns a small business, you need to put a good amount of money into it to keep it rolling. But I want to be able to pull back a little bit on how much went into it. And that's the biggest thing for 2024. And then I think kind of what you said, find the sweet spot with clients on, we call, like you said, bread and butter, also unicorn clients, your favorite location to sell and buy, or help people sell, buy, invest. I think after looking at all my transactions, and I was able to kind of, put in a location that I love working, or a type of home, or a price point home, or whatever it was. So I think it was really cool to see it on paper, and it kind of clicked for me. So I know more so what I would love to do in 2024. I'm still by no means, I'm not like canceling out any buyers, sellers in other locations or whatnot, but I think it's just really cool to be able to look over everything that you've done and kind of take away as much as you can to make it not just work, but like fun too.
Yeah, because it's cool to see like what the I don't know, statistics are, the numbers are for you, on how many clients you have, what kind of transactions were they, what kind of people were they. We go as far in as like demographic specific areas.
Yeah.
It's very intricate business planning.
It's just good knowledge to have about your own business.
Right. I mean, it's not the Google ads where they'll come at you in any sort of way, listening to you from your phone.
Yeah.
But we take a little bit of that and try to implement it ourselves.
Right. Yeah. So those were my biggest takeaways. Business planning was really cool, though. It's cool to see the numbers on paper.
Yeah.
To end the podcast on a high note, tell me your favorite part about this job.
I would say my favorite part of the job is just working with the people. I mean, I come from a restaurant background where, customer service is a big thing, and I take a lot of heart into that for this job as well. I mean, you're working with people day in, day out, for big life decisions. And when you see the joy on their face, or at least over the phone hear the excitement in their voice about good news on either helping them help them buy or sell, it sits with you in a different way versus just thinking about it as a sale.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about the people and their lives, it makes the job a little bit different and more important to you.
Yeah, 100%.
So, I mean, a little heartfelt. But,
no, I love it though.
How about you? What's your favorite part of the business?
I think my favorite thing is knowing that we're helping whoever we're helping them start a new chapter in their life. Yeah. And it could potentially mean that they're closing a bad chapter or just an old chapter. And I think just looking at that is, I don't know, it can make me tear up because it's just so sweet that they're starting a new life.
Yeah.
So that's what I like about it. Yeah. They're checking it off their bucket list.
Yeah.
Bought a home.
Right. Or
that's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes life comes at you so fast, and when you're put in a position of high stress, it feels good to be that person to kind of settle things down.
It's so nice.
Yeah.
Because you see how much stress they're like, oh my God, I do this, 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 and this. And you're just like, no, it's actually very easy. This is what we're going to do, and it'll go smooth.
Yeah.
It's good to be a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. So, I mean, it sounds like that's both of our favorite parts.
Yeah.
But, so hopefully that did end on a high note there. But moving forward,
yes,
some plans that we have. Francesca, do you want to go over them?
Yeah, so kind of in the beginning, we said we're going to bring some vendors on, like inspectors, attorneys, lenders, whoever's comfortable jumping in front of a camera, because that's not, normal too in our industry. So whoever wants to jump on in front of the camera with us and answer any questions about their end of the transaction and how they help sellers, buyers, investors, etc. Also answering any just regular questions about a home buying process and what they do. And then just give a little info about themselves, I would think, is what people would want to see.
Right.
And then on our end, just answering questions and walking you guys through process of buying, selling, investing, how to go from renting to buying. Just
give you guys any ideas about making a change in your life, and hopefully you guys take something out of it. I mean, please give us questions in the comments that we can answer for you guys. If you guys have any curiosities, I mean, let us know your experiences. I mean, we'd always love to be able to kind of talk on what other people have gone through and how maybe something could have been different, or maybe it just happened to be a bad experience and you want to get it off your chest. We're always here for that too.
Yeah, we can talk about bad experiences too. It's not always good. We can talk about how we would have gone about it if you did have a bad experience.
I mean, we have our own bad experiences, so
many.
We want to be able to bring those to you guys, and hope you guys enjoy hearing those stories moving forward. But
this is kind of the end of the first podcast. I'm excited.
I know. So thank you guys for watching. We appreciate you guys.
Yes.
And please stay tuned for Real Estate AF episode 2.
Bye.